Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. We are powered by The Source, Ben's locally owned media company and weekly newspaper. This podcast is our eddy in the rushing waters of local journalism. We are glad that you're taking some of your time to listen to us chat with the people who shape our local community. Support us through our member program at bensource.com.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, RE/MAX Key Properties, a family-owned full-service real estate brokerage specializing in residential, luxury, commercial, new construction, and ranch and land properties. Their new state-of-the-art facility at 42 Greenwood Avenue is a modern, collaborative space and the new home of the Bend Don't Break podcast recording studio.
Welcome to the Bend Don't Break podcast. I'm Aaron Switzer, the publisher of The Source and producer of this fine audio moment. Today we have Michael Gesme, is now in his 30th and final season as conductor of the Central Oregon Symphony and professor of music and fine arts communication department at Central Oregon Community College. In addition, he conducts the Cascade Wind Symphonic Band, the Central Oregon Chamber Orchestra, and various performances for Opera Bend. Michael has taught courses in music theory, ear training, music history, and conducting, and is an active clinician and adjudicator in the region. He received his bachelor's degree from Luther College and his master's degree in orchestral conducting from the University of Missouri, Columbia. Michael.
It sounds more impressive than it is, let me tell you.
I don't think so. That's pretty good. Yeah. Missouri, Columbia. Is that where you were born? Where you hail from?
I was born in Illinois.
Okay.
But all my people are from the Midwest.
Yeah.
So Iowa was where I went to school, but like that's where my grandparents were all from Iowa. So that's where Luther College is.
Yeah.
And then ended up going to graduate school at the University of Missouri, Columbia, which is where I met my wife, and she's from Missouri, and so all of her people are from there. So we make the pilgrimage regularly back home. Yeah, for sure.
How did you end up coming? You've been in Central Oregon for how long?
29 and a half years or whatever it is. Yeah,
that's a good long time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm
You're
not a native.
I feel like that's almost native. I want to give myself that check
Okay, I think that's fair because my children were born here. And so like they're native, and I'm feeling like if my children can call them, like I got to be kind of in the club a little bit.
Yeah, one of my sons is a native. So
yeah, I came here right out of graduate school for the job that I still have. I mean, like this is the
COCC?
only job I've ever had.
Wow.
At COCC, which involves all of those things that you mentioned. Like it's all done through the college, with a lot of community support with other organizations and nonprofits and stuff like that. But it's all centered around the college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, COCC, for those of us who remember, I mean, it was the cultural hub and institution back. Doesn't seem like that long ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, you played a big part in that, and all the it was where we went for entertainment.
Yeah, for sure. When I started, there was super active theater department, and we would do major musical productions every year with the art department would do the scenery, if you will, and the theater department would do all the costumes, and I would bring in the music and the orchestra and stuff. It was an amazing time. My early days here, and then the economy went south and things changed, and we are where we are. But
The how did you find an application for Bend, Oregon, back in Iowa, and have the wherewithal to think, well, I'd like to go there, because 30 years ago, what were we, like 35,000?
That's about right. Yes. Great question. I don't know that two people have ever asked me that in all the time that I've been here. So
you got to convince the other Missourian you were tied to make the trip.
So like anybody who is hunting for a job today, right? There are publications back. We didn't have internet in any way meaningfully like it is now, but I received a monthly publication that had the job listings for people who wanted to work in higher ed, and this was one of them. And I distinctly remember opening it up and seeing this particular job, and I had applied for a few other jobs because I had graduated and I'm looking for a gig, and I saw this job, and I told my wife, I'm going to get this job because it is as far away from everybody we know and love in the continental United States.
Right,
You know,
right.
from Missouri, where we were living at that time. It was a long ways away. And so I applied for the job, came out. Everything was somewhat against me in the sense that I flew out. My luggage didn't make my connection in Portland, and so I waited for the next flight to come. It still didn't show up, so now it's midnight, and I got to drive from Portland to Bend. I had no idea I was driving through mountains. I'm just hauling tail all through that, and I get to Bend, and still don't have any luggage, and I go, get a few toiletries or whatever to do, what I need to do. But my dad, bless him, he said, "You never fly in any clothes other than the nice things that you need to wear in case something goes wrong." And I still do. Like I always dress up when I fly.
Yeah.
And so
You're not one of those people that puts the onesie on.
oh, good
with the
Lord. I
little
think those people should be shot. But so I showed up, and I had a suit. I mean, I took my shirt off and ironed and tried to look presentable, but I was wearing nice clothes and went to my interview after having 3 hours of sleep and did the whole day. And went back home. I never had an interview, so I didn't know if that was good or not. But I was clearly the last person on the chain because that was probably a Thursday, Friday kind of a thing. And I had a call on Monday morning to say and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was right, which was weird. But I didn't know anything about Bend. I didn't know where Bend was. I mean, in terms of but once I told people this is where I was going to go, the people who do know Bend know it for very different reasons, but most of them had to do with outdoorsy, kinds of things. Even back then. And they're like, oh, that's a really lovely place. You're going to like. And so I didn't know if I was going to be here for 2 years or 20 years or an entire career, but we didn't have any other job options. And we had, my wife was just a few months pregnant at that point when I said yes. And so by the end of the summer, she was 8 months pregnant, and we packed up the Ryder van and moved out here. And my son was born 2 months after we got here. And so it's been great, in terms of the opportunity and the chance to do the things that I love, which I love orchestra. I mean, that's what I wanted to do ever since I was little. But I get to do the band, I get to do opera, I get to do chamber music. I mean, oh my gosh, it's and teach. I love to teach. Which is where I'm headed right after we're done with this. Thank you for accommodating your schedule a bit for me. And so it's been a really pleasurable experience to be able to do all of those things.
I mean, I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but Central Oregon is not what you would imagine as a hub for classical music or those things. I mean, you basically had to develop it. I don't know and I will profess my ignorance. I don't know what it was like before you got here, but I imagine it was developed from that point forward for the most part. Yeah,
well, there was a couple of different things that were going on. So in terms of the local scene, what was going on, I mean, the orchestra was relatively small. I mean, the concert band was relatively small, but they were thriving, because the people who want that are there. I mean, and they're all in and invested. And so, my task was just to build.
Right.
What, not in any, by the end of 2 years, you need to be doing there was no list of expectations.
We need 5 flautists.
Yeah. Good Lord, no, we don't need to. But
we only have 2. So,
so it was just this idea of move and grow and see what happens. And so 2 things happened. People kind of came out of the woodwork to start playing, which was lovely. And then the other thing is that we had some really wise individuals in terms of how we should structure the mission of the orchestra. And by that, I mean, was the mission to perform for as few people as possible and charge a lot of money for tickets for whatever experience that provided? Or was it to try to make it as available as possible to as many people as we can, because that was the goal, is to just exposure.
Right.
And obviously they chose number 2, which was so what I loved, because having done a little bit of traveling to Europe, the European perspective, which is supported by the government, on some level. I'll give you that. But they are able to do an orchestra concert or an opera performance or something like that, where there are people who are paying hundreds of dollars for a ticket, and there are also people who are paying dollars for a ticket.
Sure.
$10, $5. I mean, I stood in one of the best opera houses in the world for 4 hours of Wagner, which for some people is like the third ring of hell. But for me, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And after going to that, we and my little group of, teenage friends went to McDonald's afterwards. And I spent more at McDonald's than I did for the 4-hour ticket to watch the opera. I mean, so they were basically trying to do that.
Yeah.
That was the model, was to get people in the door. Yeah. And maybe they would be willing to donate some money to help us do more of what we did. And so we did a couple of concerts at Mountain View High School, which is oddly enough where we are right now. And by the end of that season, the first year I was here, they were so successful at getting people in the door, we were turning people away. So that's when we moved to Bend High the next year, which was from a 600-seat hall to a 1,400-seat hall. And we were doing 2 concerts there, and we almost got to the point where we're like, we need to add another concert. So we were doing 3 concerts, like a Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday for years. And then COVID and everything kind of went sideways as far as that goes. And then Bend High fell down. And so that, so we're back for the end of my career, we're now back where I started.
Yeah.
And
you use all the high schools. I mean, I saw the Winds at Summit. Which is a lovely venue.
Yeah, and we've literally played, not necessarily the symphony, although I think the symphony has played in most of them as well. But like the groups that I have worked with, we've been in almost every high school in Central Oregon, including Madras, and Prineville and stuff like that. We were at Caldera last fall and because of scheduling, we had to do the spring concert at Mountain View, and they're all the same size. So size wasn't the issues, but the sound was so much, for me, for what we do, it was so much better. And we're like, we need to be here. Like this is, if we're trying to present a great kind of a thing. And so, that worked out great for us, for that.
How has it, I assume listeners know this, but when you started, there was no tower. There was the college, there was high school auditoriums, and that was the extent.
True. Yeah. Absolutely. That was the extent.
Even with the addition of the tower, it's still a pretty limited performance space
in terms of size. Yeah. I mean, and I love the tower. I mean, I've done operas and musicals and all sorts of amazing things, at the tower.
It's lovely.
And it is perfect for that kind of a thing. It won't work for a large ensemble kind of a thing because the stage is too small, for starters. And then, it's even smaller than the high schools, and we pack the high school. So that's a challenge for us. But it's perfect for like opera and musicals and all the cool CTC, TMP productions that go on down there, things like that. So I'm grateful for that.
But it begs the question. They're going out for the survey now on the Performing Arts Center.
Yep.
People are questioning it. We're going to get into the whole value of the arts conversation.
For sure.
And for someone like yourself and myself who've lived here as long as and have seen it in the stage, personally, it feels like time for it. The pastime for it.
It's funny because you mentioned something that I so agree with, which is like when I first came, the college was the hub. Yeah. There was no OSU Cascades. There were other higher institutions in town, but they were all extensions, if you will, of their main campuses.
Cameron used to bring Jimmy Cliff up to the gymnasium. It was where we would see live music.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so the college was integral in a movement in the late 90s towards which for me was the first time we were presented with the idea of performing arts center of some sort. And the college wanted to be a part of it. They wanted it on their campus, and they put time and energy into that, and a big study and all of the things that surround making those kinds of inroads towards something new, surveys, et cetera, et cetera. And when it came time for the real question of, okay, are we going to move forward? We've got all this information now. Can we raise the money? Can we do the thing? It's exactly the moment when the Tower Theater was doing their thing. And I have no problem with what the decision was, which was the Tower Theater had a building, and they were ready to do what they were going to do. It was going to be much less expensive, but we were all going to fight for the same dollars. So none of us would succeed if it wasn't going to happen. So I remember being in the room, like we're in this in a boardroom talking. We're like, tell you what, do the Tower. We'll put this on the back burner for a couple of years, and we'll come back. Yeah. And the economy, that was the time when all of that went bad. And so it just never got started again for many, many years. And then it did start and it stopped again. And now there's the third incarnation since I've been around, which is the Central Oregon Center of the Arts. And they started pre-COVID. And of course, that hampered the initial efforts there. But they are farther along in their work towards making something happen than any other group I've been a part of. Sure. And now there was an article in the newspaper yesterday that is, the city is doing something along those lines, surveys and questions, and they are absolutely checking with this group because we've already done a lot of this work. Yeah. So hopefully we can all find a way to play nice in the sandbox and get what we all think we need. Right. Because it's time. I won't see it in my career, even if it started tomorrow. I mean, it'll be 6 years before it happens, kind of a thing. Yeah. And you still have to raise $100 million, which I don't have. Right. But some people do, I'm sure. At least. Well,
they still got to have people use the facility. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful. I think that the college is in a position now with some leadership that is interested in the arts, and I went in and met with the new president. I don't know, a month ago. One of his goals was to meet with every full-time employee on the campus within the first 6 months he was there. And I don't know if he will make that goal, but I think I was number 300 and something by the time I went, and there's only 460 full. So I mean, he was way on the way towards making that happen. But I met with him, and I was just describing what was going on, and I was saying, and I'm on this committee. We're trying to build a performing arts center. Seeing this. Don't you think it should be on the campus? And I'm like, yeah, I do, but that's not been a college priority for the last 15 years. It's been a hard no. Yeah, right. And he's like, well, I think we should at least be in the running for this. Oh, that'd be great. And within a week, it had completely turned around. He had talked to people and said, yes, we're interested. He talked to the board. They said, yes, we're interested, at least in being considered. Right. And we had the survey people come out and say, this is where it would likely go if it was going to be here. Tell us if this will work, kind of a thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, for me, I feel like I'm at least going away at a time when the torch seems to be at least somewhat flickering in the background.
Why now? Why step back from? And what does it mean to retire? I mean, people you're in the arts, so I know it's not that's not a career as much as it is a passion.
Sure. So why now? Well, there's a couple of super practical reasons. One is that I work for the state, which means I'm a PERS employee, and that if you can hit 30 years, that trumps everything as far as a retirement start time, kind of a thing. And since I started work there when I was 26 years old, and so I'm at a point now where I could stop doing this and get my full PERS benefits, and they don't get profoundly better if I stayed in another 15 years doing the same job. If I got a job where I was making twice as much money, the benefit would obviously be different. But I'm not interested in that work. Yeah. In terms of education, and so I would just be doing what I'm doing. So that's a very practical reason. Right. The other reasons are my amazing wife has basically been here because I'm here,
Yeah.
and she's got a lot of stuff that she'd like to do too.
Yeah.
And so she would love to teach English in a foreign country, and so like
Wow.
that is probably
A thing.
what we're going to be doing
Yeah.
over the next couple of years. And you know, I mean, like, we're just in the process of figuring that out. So like, I don't know. Like, if you ask me in 6 months, I'll know exactly what we're going to do. But right now, that's still the in the planning stages kind of a thing. So there's just, you know, it's a good time to go. We've got.
You're going to be mobile though. You're going to be overseas.
Yeah. And we don't have any intention of getting rid of home being Bend at this point. Like I love my house. I want to be able to come back, you know, to that place. So at this point, we're not looking to sell and, you know, buy a Winnebago and just go or put everything in storage. Like, we want home to still be here.
I don't see you at the wheel of a Winnebago.
No.
When
It's interesting. I have an uncle who worked at Winnebago, you know, so maybe I don't know. I could maybe do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the tentative plan.
Yeah.
And I mean, because like I was telling you initially, everything is surrounding the college. So I'm resigning from, you know, or retiring from my teaching position, which includes all of the classes, includes the Cascade Winds, it includes the symphony.
It does include the winds and those type of.
Those are all college classes.
Okay.
Yep, every single one of the people who play on the stage, they're all registered as a student.
Yeah.
You know, and the tuition is typically paid for by the nonprofit organization that helps to support the organization, because the college alone can't begin to fund all of the activities that any of those given ensembles do, including the Cascade Chorale and the big band jazz. You know, they're just extra funding needs to come in to do that.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful. That's why I'm saying, like, these amazing partnerships.
Right.
You know, it's the community that makes these things work. I mean, the college is the advocate. It's the home base of it all.
Right.
But the reason things thrive is because the community wants them and they play. The community wants them and they attend concerts, and they'll donate some dollars so that we can buy music and bring in great guest artists and all of those things.
I saw the last iteration of the Winds performance, the one you did at Summit, and I was amazed. I really was. I mean,
Cool.
I don't know if it's always been at that level of quality, but
They play really well, don't
but
they?
they played really pretty well. And I mean, you did an amazing job, and I just thought it was such an asset. It's and then when I heard you were retiring, I was like, how do you leave that? Like, it's such a high performing.
And I don't want to say it's easy to leave.
Yeah, right.
But sometimes you just know it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
And it's, you know, as my wife says, this won't be the last thing you ever direct. And I hope she's right. But I don't look to get a full-time job, you know, doing this work again, but I would love to do more of this work, whether that's just once in a while, whether that's, there are lots of orchestras that are like the Central Oregon Symphony that are not necessarily associated with the college. They're independent, who hire a music director or a conductor as their, you know, their permanent person.
Sure.
But because they only do 3 concerts a year, it's not a full-time gig.
Right.
And so, I mean, I have lots of colleagues in the music business who do like 3 or 4 of those around the country to cobble together a career.
Okay.
And I have no idea how they do that. They've got to spend most of their time on an airplane, you know.
Yeah.
And the groups are fun and all of that, but you know, that's I'm not that person. I mean, I don't mind traveling, but like I like being here.
Right.
And commit, you know, kind of committing to doing all good things in this community, as opposed to trying to do something in Jackson Hole and do something in Massachusetts and doing, I mean, that would drive me bananas. So if I can find something like that at some point, that would be great. And, you know, or not, it's going to be fun. You know, I have no doubt.
Yeah. Have you felt I mean, they talk a lot about the therapeutic benefits of music, and, you know, after a career in doing this as being, you know, your full-time work, do you feel that? Do you feel like being in this profession has been good for you physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, not everybody can say that. I can say,
No. I mean,
there's a lot of stressful jobs.
oh my gosh, for sure. Yeah. But it's kind of a joke, right? Like the musicians who last the longest, like who live the longest, are the conductors, because they're always moving, right? And so as opposed to just sitting down and playing the violin, and not that they don't live.
I thought you were going to say because the violinists are all cranky and
right. Well,
stressed out.
I'm trying to avoid those stereotypes, but you're right. No. But I'm also more active than many. Like I move a lot. I like that. I like that. And so I'm kind of grateful for that, because I'm not a regular exerciser, but like I get regular exercise at least twice a week for 2.5 hours doing rehearsals and all the things.
Well, I would think you would have to have really good deltoids up here.
Yeah, for sure.
Lifting your arms.
Just, my wife's like, you've been working, haven't you? I'm like, as a matter of fact, I have. Yes.
Yeah. I just, and maybe it's the cliche or what people from the outside imagine as the benefits of being in the musical arts would be, what a great place to go to work.
For sure.
And I mean, we talk about that with the podcast and some of the stuff we do with media, where we get to take a break and we get to come in here and we get to rap with great people, and it's very calming, for what we do in the rest of our world. And but I mean, personally, I just look at a position like yours, and I just think, man, he's going to live forever. Because he gets to go,
nice?
he goes to work and takes a sound bath and relaxes.
Oh, that's cool. I've never thought about that before. But the honest truth of it also is, like, it's work.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of work that's involved. And because of the nature of this particular beast, like, I'm the one who sets up the chairs for the rehearsal, and I'm the one who takes things down, and I get a lot of help. But it's not like I just show up and take a sound bath, right? There's a lot going on,
right?
As a part of that. And if things aren't going well, that can be, it's no different than any other job I've ever had. If you're like, I don't think we're going to be ready for this concert, that's going to be a problem. What shall we do about that? And half of your job is psychology,
right?
In terms of, like, how can I get people to do what I think needs to be done?
Yeah.
In order to get to the performance level that we're striving for. And most of the time we make it. Sometimes
They've started the hiring process for your position?
Short answer is kind of. And the reason I say that is that the higher ed in general, there's a time at which you have to declare that you are retiring. Mm-hmm. And at that point, the college says, we've got 5 retirements coming up this year, or resignations or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they say, are we going to rehire this position? Are we going to shift this position to science? Are we going to, what are the needs of the institution as a whole? And that date is November 15. And so that's
that had you on a little too early.
But the process is started in the sense that everybody knows I'm leaving, but, like, the college will, on November 15, go through the initial process to say which positions. And I mean, I've got several colleagues that are also retiring. So, like, all of those positions will kind of go in a pool, if you will, and they will either be redistributed in a fashion, or the math person will be replaced by another math person, and the music person will. And so I'm hopeful that they will do that, because the challenge in Central Oregon with just about anything is that unless it's a full-time job, people aren't going to move here, right? Unless you're independently wealthy. Yeah. The work demands a person who's committed to this. Sure.
Well, COCC has always enjoyed, like, the ancillary benefit of being in Bend, Oregon.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The caliber of the talent up there is incredible.
Yeah. No, I often just am blown away with, my colleagues, having come from an area of the country where community colleges were often thought as, like, the third choice, kind of a thing. and not in a bad way, but it's just like, well, you can,
In the South, it's kind of in a bad way.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I was blown away when I moved here and it was so robust,
Yeah.
and it was a cultural hub, and there were all these things going on. I was like, this is the community college?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was cool.
So I was totally blown away when I was here, and I was like, oh my gosh, like these people, like, why would you send your child to University of X for 2 years when you can, it's half the cost and the teachers are better,
Right.
and then transfer out and finish your degree, So I completely reversed my thinking about community colleges once I was here. And so that was wonderful. So we'll see where it goes. I'm very hopeful that all will be, that it will work out, and that, come May, that's when everything is usually wrapped up and they know who's coming.
Yeah. So chance they might not refill the position, or they could reconfigure the position.
There's always the chance.
Yeah. Right.
And I've seen it happen. But I will knock on this very artificial tabletop right here that will not happen with this, and that they'll be able to bring in somebody as a full-time, music
Well, we can start the letter writing campaign.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's to me it's my life. I mean, like, that's my work, and so I want it to continue.
Yeah. Well, Michael, we're at the end of our time together. What anything we didn't touch on that you'd like to speak to or say to listeners?
I would love to say thank you to everybody for the 30 years of just generous giving, whether that's time for the musicians or dollars for the donors, or just coming to concerts. I mean, like, oh my gosh, it's been amazing. It's been a wonderful place to make music and just be a part of all of that. And the things I've been able to do are just off the charts. And that for those of you who are able and willing to learn about what could be next with performing arts, especially this performing arts center, like, pay attention to that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I want it to happen so bad. I've wanted it to happen for like 25 years. And even though I am not going to be the one who does the first concert in this concert hall, I'd like to be one of the people who plants the seeds of the trees that are going to grow up to be that concert hall. And so, go for it.
When's your when can people expect your last performance to be? When can they? I mean, there's still time to see you.
Oh, absolutely.
Before you.
Yeah. So there's a
hit the
band
road.
concert coming up this week, not this weekend, but like next weekend, whatever,
Okay.
the 16th.
Yeah.
But then the symphony has February concert and a May concert, and the concert band has a March concert and a very end of May concert. And then we'll probably do a whole opera. I think we're doing Fledermaus in June. So, like, I got a full slate of stuff that's going on. So, I'm looking forward to all of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you for coming in, and hopefully we can touch base again before you put on those wings and go teach English somewhere, or
that would be amazing.
Support to English.
I would be support. I'm going to be, I'm the one who, like, I'm gonna make the food and sweep the apartment, and it's going to be amazing for me.
That's great. Well, this has been the Bend Don't Break podcast. Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, go to bensource.com, click on that button to become a member and help us continue these types of really cool conversations with folks in the community who are doing wonderful things like WINS, which was lovely. We'll add. Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Bend Don't Break podcast, powered by The Source Weekly. To read, hear, and see more of what we do, go to bensource.com.